and troops. What's up guys, we'll be looking at hero stats and troop stats and how they affect the outcome of a battle. So this will be the first video of a series which will be diving into those battles and looking at not only the stats but how the heroes interact with each other. So to start things off, we'll look at something a certain Sergeant Farrell said.
Good news is there's hope for you, Private. Hope in the form of glorious combat. Battle is the great redeemer, the fiery crucible in which the only true heroes are forged. The one place where all men truly share the same rank, regardless of what kind of parasitic scum they were going in.
Trial by combat. The only way to know who's the strongest, by combat. A lot of people will say in combat there's a lot of randomness. Sure there is, but better think once again the way Sergeant Farrell thinks.
Why do I dislike it?
Because it entertains the notion that our fate is in hands other than our own.
And what is my definitive position on the concept of fate, Chorus?
Through readiness and discipline, we are masters of our fate.
You might call that notion ironic.
Further ado, guys, let's dive into those stats, those hero stats. So the first one is might, second one is resistance, and then tactical might, tactical resistance, HP, and combat speed. Now let's see at the stats for the troop stats. As you can see, they're fairly similar to the ones we just saw. Might, resistance, HP, combat power, marching speed, load, and food cost. The different ones on the troops are the combat power, which is simply the power amount that each unit is worth. Marching speed, the speed on the map of each of those units. Load is how much resources can they carry. And then food cost is simply their maintenance. So now we'll go back to the hero stats and look at each one of them individually and how they in fact combat. Alright, first might. Might simply enhances the damage dealt to units. Resistance, how much they can resist from this might. How much they can resist. Tactical might enhances the damage of skills from heroes, while tactical resistance reduces the damage from those skills. HP is simply the health point of each unit, and combat speed decides which unit will attack first. For certain compositions of heroes, combat speed is important. First, sometimes attacking first, especially if you have skills that are stronger on the first 2 turns, it gives you net advantage for attacking first to reduce the strength of your opponent. Now for these tanky healer compositions, attacking last is important as you want your heroes to use their healing skills at the last round after your opponent attack. So now to look at might and resistance, we will look at a little fight to compare how each of these stats are worth. On each of these accounts, they have a specific set of stats. First one has 10% resistance, second one has 5% resistance, 5% might. Now we look at in the fight how will each fare. As we can see, well, the resistance one lost the fight, even though it attacked first in the battle, because it is the attacker. It was the one sending the PC at the receiving one. Because the combat speed were equals, the game decides that the attacker will attack first. So now we'll look at the casualties and damage output of each of those APCs. First one to attack is the resistance one, 105 casualties. Second one, 107 casualties from the might one. As we can see, even though these stats are double, so 5 to 10%, the might one clearly wins against the resistant one. Let's now look at a fight where the might are equal to the resistance, so 10% apiece, and the might one is the attacker. Now, well, the winner is very, very clear. Might has completely outdone the resistance one. Let's look at the damage and casualties from each one. So this time 138 instead of 107. That is an increase of 31 for a simple 5%. First time when the resistance APC was the attacker, so the one who attacked first, it did 105 casualties. Now because it took a hit of 130 casualties, it already reduced its damage output from regular attacks. Back to hero stats, we went over might, resistance. Tactical might and tactical resistance are some of the stats that affect the skills. So to use them properly, you need to have heroes, and usually heroes with the highest damage output will do more damage, and there are certain heroes which will affect debuffs or crowd control skills like disarm, suppress, silence, or even confuse. Health point is one of the most important stats as it affects the health points from your units. Especially if you have heroes which are about healing and losing less troops than your opponent, you would want more resistance and more health points, as this will help you keep more of your troops alive. Now we will look at the neat little menu which shows you some of your global stats on your APCs, on your base and all of that, which will help you know, well, what stat you actually have. So you see right over here where there's this little icon which is in your commander info, so you just have to click on yourself or your my commander info, and then click on this little icon, and this will bring you right over here. You can see your base upgrade, world buffs, troop supports, siege battle, and field battle and defensive battle. So in there you will get the stats from each of your APCs. You will have your might, your tactical resistance, tactical might. This is where you'll get all your stats. So I'll let you guys play with this. Little menu. There's a lot of information in there. Some of it is not always 100% accurate, but it gives you a great overview. So now, as you might have noticed, we have two types of stats left to discuss. First one is the fighter might and resistance facing a certain type of unit. So these stats of conquering come from your parts. So in this example, these are the Baneblade parts, and it gives you 35% countering unit resistance globally, and 35% countering for the might, which means that, let's say I have fighters, if I'm fighting shooters, I will get 35% more might, 35% more resistance. Now the last task which we have to talk about is damage, which is a simple damage boost. And there's also, which is a simple damage boost, while there is also a less damage receive, which works the same way but in the opposite. As the usual, enjoy the game, and this is the way.